Talofa lava and welcome to 𝗧𝗹菱cie. My name is Leao Tildsley, and tonight I would like to share with you an interview that I've done with an unsung hero in Samoa. His name is Edwin Tamasese. During the measles pandemic, which was devastating to our people, killed around 70 of our babies, he was right in the middle of it. And he was part of sharing vitamin D, vitamin A, vitamin C, and he did what he needed to do. Tonight is this interview with Edwin. We talked about this a few weeks back when somebody actually asked the question, what happened with the measles pandemic in Samoa? So we were following that up and we answered the question, but then Edwin contacted us and he wanted to tell his side of the story. So tonight we get to hear his side of the story. So welcome, Edwin. Lovely to have you all the way from Samoa. Beautiful land.
Hello, Leao. I'm so pleased that you guys took the time to actually give me the opportunity to meet with you. And after our initial discussions, just a bit about myself. I actually run a couple of agricultural companies here. I've got a virgin coconut oil manufacturing company that I run with a couple of other directors, and I've also got an agricultural consulting business here. And I also do a lot of work with the Samoan government doing consultancies. And I also work with Asia Development Bank and the Food and Agriculture Organization and those sort of groups. And I also had a background, 9 years corporate background in Australia, working for a company called 𝗧𝗹菱cie Industries, which is the largest privately owned packaging company. And sort of gave me a bit, the reason I mentioned that is it gave me a bit of insight into how corporate culture actually works and the mindsets that are at play in those sort of environments. Yep, so basically that's where I come from.
Great, thank you. Thank you for being with us, Edwin. Would you like to take us back to, is it maybe 2018? 2018?
Yeah, 2008.
Sure.
Yep. Yeah. 2018, we heard the first few reports of measles that came onto the news, and they said, oh yeah, a couple of people are sick, and we thought, oh, and for me personally, because I'd had measles before and my whole family pretty much had measles, it wasn't a big thing, and I don't think it generally was a big thing back in my day anyway. So we were thinking, oh yeah, okay, it's measles, it's just going to come and go and everything's going to be fine. And the outbreak was raging in New Zealand at that time as well, and there hadn't been any fatalities, so we thought, okay, this is pretty manageable. And then we had the first death, and that really came as a shock. And as soon as that occurred, you know, I started to pay attention. So I've got a lot of friends who are doctors, a lot of friends in government, in parliament, in cabinet, and all of these sort of things. So I started to track, and because everything in Samoa is very public on social media, I started to pick up stories from, one of them was from a doctor in the hospital. And she was saying that she was having extreme difficulty treating these patients, and they were just crashing, and she didn't really know what was going on, and they were just getting run off their feet, and the number of cases was escalating as well. Then we had the two of the malpractice cases, and that's when the government stepped in and said, hey, shut the program down. And the reason that actually happened is that I feel that the Prime Minister had actually, his grandson had got injured from a vaccine and lost the abilities to speak.
Sure.
So he had actually had an experience, which is why he was very very quick to shut the program down, which made perfect sense. You know, shut the program down. They actually misinterpreted what he said, because he said to shut the MMR program down, and he shut the whole vaccination program down. But yeah, and that's how all of that was going on. And then we had the measles outbreak, and then yeah, that just started to escalate.
So I just am looking at the measles timeline, and in April 2019, Samoa brought the MMR vaccine back into Samoa after that shutdown.
Right.
And then in October of 2019, it says that UNICEF delivered 115,000 doses of measles vaccines into
Right.
Samoa. So that was at when, do you know when when it was said that it was an emergency? At what point did that become an emergency? Was it after that?
Yeah, it was after that. It was after all the vaccines came in. And then what happened was, which was really, really odd. So they sent out a couple of batches of tests to Australia to get them verified to make sure that it was measles. I think it was 2 sets, which made a total of 36 tests. And out of that 36, 7 came back as measles. The other 29 were all very, very serious cases. So the real question is, if most of these cases weren't measles, and if you look at the government documentation, all of those 7 were treated and discharged. But out of the 29, we had very, very severely ill cases. Then on top of that, a lot of people don't realize that the first child to actually pass away, unfortunately, during the outbreak, was fully vaccinated. So how does that happen? A fully vaccinated child is the first one that passes away. You know, where's that link saying that it was because people weren't vaccinated? That wasn't the case for the first child who passed away.
So
it's something very odd there.
So the Ministry of Health in Samoa actually had a document that spoke specifically that the 7 cases out of the 36 were made positive, and 2 days later they confirmed a measles epidemic.
A measles epidemic. But that, and how do you justify that when you've got something else that is actually causing the problem?
Did they say what it was? Like, what were the other causes?
They really need to come up front and say this is what was actually causing the children to be sick, because there's a lot of suspicion now because they're not being open and transparent with the information.
Well, I mean, I've got the official Ministry of Health, Government of Samoa, form that actually says exactly that 7 positive cases were out of the 36. So we don't know what the rest of them were, but this is.
They were all severely ill, and that's a very, very important point, that they were all severely ill. So something else was out there.
Okay.
Right.
So when the children started dying, which was in around November, this is what I see in the timeline, 6 of them on the 13th of November. What was your response? What were you thinking at the time? And what made you start to think, I need to do something about this? At what point did that?
Yeah. Well, initially I was just trying to find out what was going on and trying to make sense of this, what they were using as treatments and those sort of things. So it was just out of interest to try and find out what was happening. And it wasn't actually until one of my staff came to me with a sick baby that I actually got really involved. So she brought the child to me and I said, actually, she asked me if I could help her. And I said, look, I'm not a doctor. You shouldn't be asking me. You should be taking your child to the hospital. And she says, well, I've taken my baby to the hospital twice and she's getting worse. And I said, well, let me have a look at the child. So she brought the child and had a look and had these blisters and things over her head, across her head. And it looked like a combination of measles and chickenpox. But like I said, I'm not a doctor. And I asked her, hey, so what did they give you at the hospital for your child? And then she said, they gave me Panadol and antibiotics. And like I've raised livestock for 25 years. So I know that you never give antibiotics for a viral infection. And secondly, Panadol for a viral infection is extremely dangerous. If you know anything about glutathione or the way that acetaminophen, which is the base chemical in this product, it actually turns off the immune system. So it actually makes the virus worse. So when she said what she was given, I said, okay, look, I've got some vitamins in the house. Take these. This is how you take them. And let's see how we go from there. So she went and she took the There's vitamin A and vitamin C. Took the child home, and then it was the next day that she actually posted. I saw the post first before I actually saw her again, and she's saying, "Oh, thank you, Edwin, for helping my kid so much better." And then I saw it when she came to work in the morning, and sort of how she going, and oh, she's so strong. She's eating again. She's sitting up. She's got her energy back. And so, okay, brilliant. That's great. And she said, "Look, there's another family behind me. Can you come and see them as well?" And I said, "Look, you know, I'm not a doctor. I shouldn't be going. Take them to the hospital." And she said, you've got to come. They've taken them to the hospital a few times, and they're in really bad shape." So I said, "All right, okay, I'll do it." And they were close by, so it wasn't too difficult. So I drove down the road to where they were and walked in, and then I saw this father and his two sons, and they were all lying in a room in the back of the house. And the little kid looked like he was about to die. Like, I was just shocked. As soon as I walked in, and the mother wasn't sick, but the father and the two kids were sick, I said to the mother, "Why isn't this child in hospital?" And she said, "We've taken the baby to hospital twice, and she's getting worse." And I said, "Look, okay, first off, I'm not a doctor. This kid needs to be in hospital, and you need to get this kid proper treatment." And they said they keep sending us away. And I don't know if you've heard the official story, but this is not what they were telling people. They were saying that people were coming to hospital too late. That's absolute rubbish. They were being taken in and sent back. So anyway, I said, "Look, I'm not a doctor, but I've got some vitamins here that I can give you, and they're free. Don't worry about charging, or paying for them or anything like that. And we'll see if I can help." And they said, "Okay, yes, please help us." So I gave them the vitamins, told them how to use them. Came back the next day. The father was up and about. The 2-year-old was up and about. And this, I think it was about a year or like 9 months or something. I think he was under 1, but he was so much better. Like when I first saw him, his eyes were closed by pus, and his lips were all cracked, and he literally looked like he was just about to die. And all the swelling had gone down.
Wow.
And I think it took him about 2 days before he came around. But that's when things just went nuts, because then because in Samoa everyone posts. Anything happens in the family, it goes up on Facebook. So she posted as well. And then, yeah, my Facebook just went insane with messages. I mean, it was so bad that my phone it's like, yeah, always get emotional when I
That's fine.
remember this. Yeah, it's like it was ringing constantly. But these were messages. It's like bling, 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 bling. Just hundreds of families needed help. So I thought, yep, have to help. So what I realized is that the reason the kids were dying was the treatment was wrong. And the reason I knew that is I'd just read a book about 6 months before by a doctor in Australia, Dr. 𝗧ၤᗹᵋ, and he's quite a well-renowned doctor. And he had the same problem in where is it? Northern Australia, treating Aboriginal children,
Sure.
where every second child they were vaccinating was dying. So he said we need to stop vaccinating and fix the nutrition issue. Otherwise, we're putting a virus into an immune-compromised body, and we're going to end up killing them. And anyway, so things went crazy. I tried to contact one of my friends, who's Dr. Robert Thompson. He's actually he was on the panel for the emergency group.
Yeah.
And say, hey, you guys have to change that treatment. That treatment is what's killing the kids. And I had another doctor friend, 2 other doctor friends, very senior doctors here, and I wrote to them and said, hey guys, this is what's going wrong. And I actually sent them the research that confirmed that this wasn't right. And at the same time, Kennedy from Children's Health Defence contacted me and said, hey Edwin, what's going on in Samoa? Because he had just been here. He said, what's going on in Samoa? Why are these kids dying? And I said, I think it's the treatment. And he said, look, I've got a group of doctors. Okay, link in with them. I'll send you the connection, and let's sort this out and see how we can help. So he linked me in with 6 doctors, I think this was 5 medical doctors and 1 research scientist. So we linked in with them, and I told them what was going on, and they said, oh, so what are the treatments that they're using? And I said, well, they bring the kids into the hospital, they bath them in cold water, and they put wet diapers on them to try and cool them down, cool the fevers down.
Yep.
And then they're pumping them full of antibiotics and acetaminophen, which is Panadol. And one of the doctors, Dr. Paul Thomas, he actually has a 15,000 patient pediatric hospital in Oregon.
Sure.
And he said, if you want to kill kids with measles, that's how you do it. So that's how bad what was going on here. And so, yeah, I called Robert, tried to call him, couldn't get through. The helpline was just overloaded. And then I said, stuff it. I'm going to go public and on Facebook.
Yeah.
Because for me, it's like that the kids were dying, you know. I knew it was going to be very damaging for me, like politically, business-wise, personally with my friends, because a lot of these high-up people in government, I know them personally. So it was a very difficult decision, but the kids were dying. So what do you do? So I just went out there and said, you got to get these kids the vitamin A. You got to give them vitamin C. You got to stop giving them the antibiotics. You got to stop giving them the Panadol. And I also said, and get your kids into the hospital as quick as possible, because I also found out that through some of the stuff I'd been saying, that they actually released vitamin A. Samoa, there was a WHO report that had been put out, I think it was 2017, that said that Samoa is vitamin A deficient.
Mm.
And vitamin A deficiency is critical in measles, because if you've got low vitamin A, it's to do with cellular repair. Vitamin A is one of the key vitamins. So if you don't have enough vitamin A, your system basically just gets destroyed and eaten away, and you end up dying. That's one of the major reasons for encephalitis. Anyway, so WHO had actually sent the vitamin A with the vaccines. And I don't know if you see the connection there. Why would you send vitamin A with live virus vaccines? And the reason that's done is when you mass vaccinate, you're going to have vaccine strain outbreaks.
Right.
And you send the vitamin A to deal with those outbreaks from the vaccine. That's why it's actually sent. That vitamin A wasn't given out until 22 kids had died. So there was a huge issue there with, getting the right treatment out to the kids. Yeah, major. Yeah. But anyway, was there any other question? Did that answer the question?
Absolutely. I just wanted to hear. What I also wanted to know, Edwin, you talked a little bit about the cost that it actually cost you. Like you talked about your business, you talked about your reputation, you talked about the friends, that you had, even your business.
As part of the posts that I did, I actually asked people to send vitamin A and vitamin C to their families here, and also asked for zinc and for selenium. And then people started messaging and saying, "Oh, who do we send it to?" And I said, "Well, I'm not ready set up to deal with this, but just send it to me." To clear the stuff from the wharf, you still had to pay a 70 tala for every package that came in. You had to pay a 70 tala entry fee, and you had to pay GST and duty. So in the end, I think, plus I hired a car to help out with the distribution. We made sure, and also we made sure that we didn't accept money from anyone.
We're now looking at having a vaccine that is
Right.
coming into our country, what are some of the things that we need to, more of a balanced view, I would say, of
Right.
what we need to look at before we just take the jab,
It's been very clearly demonstrated with COVID that we can't depend on vaccines for our health. We've got to look after our health through our nutrition and through our lifestyle. That's the real key, because these viruses will come and go, and we won't have vaccines for them. And for how long has this one been going for? It's over a year now. We've had people dying for over a year now because we don't have a vaccine. But it's going to be like that all the time. These viruses are going to pop up all the time. And we're just going to be in the same situation. Who are the people who are surviving? Those who are looking after their nutrition systems.
Yeah.
Those who are eating right. Those who have the right lifestyle, the right mindsets. That's what it's about.
Edwin, is there anything that you would like to say in our conclusion?
Yeah. Actually threw the court case out. So what the judge did, she said there's no case to answer here. She was actually quite scathing of the prosecution. She said your witnesses were supporting the accused. Like, the lady she testified and said, yes, he did give me the vitamins and stuff like that. And then the judge cross-examined her and said, well, okay, he gave you the vitamins, but were you using the medications from the hospital at the same time? And she said, no, I stopped using the medications and I just used the vitamins. And my kids got better, and all of our kids got better. And the judge was like, when the lady left, she said to the prosecution, she said, why did you bring her in as a witness? But like you're saying, last words, I'm just hoping that people are more critical, of what is actually happening, and more aware of a lot of these medications. Like every one of these companies producing these medications, these injections, has been in court for serious criminal behavior. So these companies have proven they can't be trusted. They're in all of the boards that make the decisions. They're all throughout the boards. Like all of these boards advising the New Zealand government, they've got people from industry sitting there. And those people from industry take these guys out for dinner, take these guys out to events, take these guys out on tours and all of these. So there's a lot of that going on. And that's all part of corporate culture.
Sure.
And these are the people who are making the decisions, which could potentially cause you serious harm. So just keep your eyes open. The world is not
as it seems.
It's not what we think it is. Yeah. It's very different. And that's all I want to say. Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's
so much for giving me the chance to present my side of the story.
Leao, thank you for that report. Thank you for that interview with the heroic Edwin Tamasese. And now some real questions have to be asked, because we have not gotten the right answers, have we? Questions such as, why was this man attacked and charged and gone after by the Samoan government, when in actual fact all he was doing was attempting to give vitamins to families and children? Not because he wanted to spread an ideology, not because he wanted to somehow make a name for himself, but because he was broken-hearted over the children dying. Where was the Samoan government in all this? Is it true that the Serum Institute of India gave a batch of vaccines that was substandard, arguably problematic and perhaps even dangerous to children, perhaps even partially responsible, if not fully responsible, for the deaths of up to 42 people during the epidemic? Is it accurate that there was such a thing as a hot batch that was sent to Samoa and taken on? Is it accurate that there is a vitamin A and vitamin C deficiency in the population of Samoa that has been refused? What are the answers to these questions and more? And why have they not been asked strongly? Pain, heartbreak, loss, lifelong loss has occurred. And it is important and vital for the processing of the pain in Samoa, that the government makes sure that they answer these questions, that they are accountable and are held accountable. Talanoa Sa'o, we already have a history of exposing things. We will keep on this. We will keep you updated as we find out more. In the meantime, God bless you. God bless New Zealand. God bless Samoa.